Right, let's get started. We'd like to welcome everyone that's here in our chambers and appreciate all those who are out there watching it in TV land. I've asked Dave Anderson to give us an opening prayer.
Father in heaven, we are very, very grateful for the many blessings and opportunities which Thou hast provided for us. We're grateful for those who have gone before us in this wonderful community and for the contributions that they have made to bless our lives and provide the things that we now enjoy, and pray that Thou will bless us, that we will do our part to make a contribution to those others that enjoy this community at this time and those who will in the future. We pray for Thy guidance and support and insight, and again thank Thee, and do so in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Dave. I've asked Councilmember Beck to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you repeat after me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, and for which its nation, indivisible, and justice for all.
Okay. Public that would like to counsel, feel free to come up and address us. Where's your tie? Oh,
I'm sorry. Mayor and council members, my name is Doug Ford. I'm a citizen and a business person here. And Mayor, I do apologize for not having my tie. I was on my way home and just realized that it's the council meeting, so I just wanted to stop by. Otherwise, I would have had my tie.
Yeah, I know how you wear a tie.
Do you believe I even own a tie?
That's where I was going to say. That's where I have a question.
I own one.
Yes, there you go.
Pre-tied one, but I don't use it very often. Anyway, I just wanted to take a second. I think all the departments and the administration of the city, I think they really should be commended on, what they do to make, a great place for us as citizens to live here and as business people also. So, that's a job well done for really all of the administration and the departments. There's a couple of things that stood out to me, however, in the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to, recognize some things that, first of all, if we take a look at the parks and the facilities that we have in this city, they are really, really well maintained, both the buildings plus the grounds. I mean, look at even the building that we're in here now and the grounds around it over at the city park. The North Park is beautiful, well maintained. The new park up on the east side of town. So, from the Parks Department and those people who are involved in that, I think, they should be commended for, a job well done. The other thing that stood out to me in just the last couple of weeks is driving around in the city, the streets. There's been a lot of work by the streets department this summer, and I think in previous summers too. A lot of the asphalt overlays that they have done. There's a huge stretch down on the far north end of Main Street that they rotomilled and overlaid. And then all of the side streets up and down Main Street, there's been a lot of work this year done to make those streets, in good shape. And I think it's some forward thinking that we're maintaining these and taking care of them before that they get bad and you have to tear them up and start over again. So, I think to the streets department for, a job well done there too. And for you as mayor and council members, for providing the resources for these all these departments to do such a good job and set example of what this city looks like to us as citizens and business people, and just a great place to live and to do business. So, thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate that, Doug. Anyone else would like to come up and address the mayor and council? Seeing none, we'll go to and start here with Councilman Argal.
I don't have any tonight.
Councilman Mendenhall.
We had a Parks and Rec meeting, let's see, yesterday. Some updates in the parks, and just to kind of go along with what Doug said, and he's one of those volunteers that serves on that committee. So it's neat to see the progress that does happen in the Parks and Rec department, and that the forward thinking to go along with for the future and plan for future residents. This was sent to me quickly. Season we're in, going to come up on election, stood out to me, election season, and it was brought to me by a guy up in Salt Lake that came down and saw me today and said that he just feels when he enters into our city limits that it feels like more of a community. When you get past the point of the mountain, especially, it's hard to know whether you're in, Cottonwood Heights or whether you're in, it's the neighboring city, South Jordan, West Jordan, whatever it is. But he says when he comes, this to me, he said, long after this election is over, he will still be reclaimed. We will have 4 years to say that's why we didn't vote for X. Just remember, we live in a different America. We have to live in our America on a private jet and fly away from our community's problem. What makes this country what it is? Not the president. He or she will not stop crime in our neighborhoods. He won't stop people from stealing your identity. And she or he will not our local nightclub. Your child right from wrong, but you can. Trump will not teach her math, but you can. We, on morals, can make this country whatever we want. Vote for whomever are the ones that shape our communities, not them. And he shared that with me and saying Spanish Fork does a pretty good job in shaping our communities. So kudos to our city administration, like Doug said, and kudos to you citizens that help shape and make our community such a great place, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's all I have, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Councilman Scopes.
Mayor, two small things to report. Our library board, we talked which are on the city's web moving forward. Thing of note, looked at program attendance programs both for youth. The total overall program attendance through the last fiscal year was 15,944 patrons. It's both to the library. That's more specifically for the different programs itself, reading programs, the park, those types of things. And so, library is a wonderful resource for the community using it. I encourage more people. Really, it's a great gem. And then, secondly, we have the Veterans Council quarterly meeting on Wednesday. The next.
Thank you. Councilman Gordon.
Mayor, I wanted to mention the farmers market on Saturdays. We're in October, so we're winding down. The first Saturday of November will be the last one. So marks really like a month left that we'll have the farmers out to that, just out here in our parking lot west of the city office building, 8 a.m. afternoon, and there's things. They're going to be there one more week, so you better jump on that. I wanted to, some of us, I think all of us were able to go congratulate Steve Money on, Steve Money had worked for the city for, I don't even know how long, but 25 years, and is the reason that we have such a fabulous rodeo community, and so congratulate him publicly. One event never had going on in Spanish in July, and a Spanish Fork Bailey Holdridge was in a side-by-side accident and was burnt severely. She later passed on last year, but did a 5K, and they're going to continue that 5K. And that is on October Saturday, October 15th. It'll start at 8 a.m. All of the money goes to the University of Utah's burn victim, and I think it's or like 35 for 4 people or something like that. So, just want to let you know of that thing going in our kids. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Council member,
I have a couple things. This week, Shauna Warnick, who is running for a position on the Nebo School District Board. And I was just really impressed and wanted to let the community know that she's very approachable and willing to talk to those of you in her district, and Brandon, and ambitious, fantastic job. And I wanted to, Spanish Fork Police, when we had Goose came in during a comment that he needed police, and I went Friday and there was traffic, speed trailer there for being so quick. We also, as the Chamber of a new director position, we will be accepting applications October. You can to info.chamber. There's also more info the Spanish Fork Church. We'll have our month, and it is security in Swenson has security in 50. He's been a great asset in our community. I think he will have started the Rotary and Chamber golf tournament. He was very, very actively involved in the chamber. Continues to be. Invite anyone. There's cake there at 12 o'clock Monday.
great, thank you. All right, I've just got a couple of items here. On October 3rd at our North Park Pavilion from 4 p.m. If you have any questions about Futures, community development, trains, bus, trails, land association, along with UDOT, to answer any of your questions, you can talk about and see what the future county. So that, again, at 4 p.m. in our North, and you can come and ask all the questions you want about all those items. The other thing I was able to do last week, I was able to go up to our new power plant that we just purchased, an agency that we're part of. Really neat facility, and that's going to take care of the years to cover base power. Doing great things there with our and just able to out groups to the cities. Fun to talk and ask. It's a question I always ask them. I said, how much does it cost the budget? And one will say 500,000, and another say $1 million. And when I tell them that we're around 75 million, they all rise and get real big. And so it's good to have them and let them what these do for us. Remind them all the things, pride in your and make this happen. As we do that, as we all work together, we can make this the best city in the nation, and it's all good. Okay, let's move along. Spanish Fork 101, snow ordinance. Chris.
Okay, last year at the end of the snow season, a new ordinance was passed regarding parking on the streets during snowstorms. And our SFCN Channel 17 department did a really good job on a video, and I'd like to show that first. If you could play that.
Tonight we bring you updates during Spanish Fork's Storm of the Ordinance has been issued requiring citizens to remove vehicles from public streets during snow removal operations. On site, weatherman Jeff.
City officiated vehicles to be removed from city public storms and for up to 48 hours afterwards or unneeded.
Our illustrious man to extend the force of an unusually...
Don't panic. If the 48-hour period, we will post that information on the city's webpage, Fork Channel 17, and through mass community.
Mayor! Hey, no further questions. No further questions. By removing vehicles from public streets, snowplows will remove snow faster and more. Taxpayer traveling more safe. Back to you in that warm studio.
For more information on snow and ice removal plans and procedures, please visit the Public Works website at SpanishFork.org. Until next time, keep it classy.
What I wanted to do is show a little bit. This video is on the website for snow plow operations on SpanishFork.org, and it lists the 4 main reasons why this ordinance was passed. And I just wanted to go over that with the general public so they understood. First of all, the law is that you cannot park on the street during a snowstorm, and a snowstorm is defined as when it's snowing and starting to accumulate on the roads where you have to start plowing. So if you have just a light snow that is melting, that would not qualify as a snowstorm under this ordinance. But once it starts accumulating, we have to plow, then this law goes in effect, and it basically says you cannot park a vehicle or a trailer on the side of the road during that storm event, and then for up to 48 hours afterwards while we're plowing the streets. There was 4 main reasons why this was passed, and we've listed that here on the website. And we will be posting this on social media as the winter approaches. But first of all, our streets will be cleared more quickly and thoroughly. This will be more efficient for us, so we'll be able to save time and money in clearing the streets, and we'll be able to go more thoroughly instead of trying to go around all the parked vehicles and trailers on the streets. We also believe that this will decrease the number of incidents of damaging these vehicles and trailers on the side of the streets with our snow plowing operations. It's safer for both the plow drivers and the general public to not have these side obstacles on the streets while we're plowing, especially on steep roads where the plows have a little bit less traction and they're trying to go up or down a hill. And then finally, it used to be the law in Spanish Fork that you couldn't park along the side of the street all winter long. It would just start in November, and then you wouldn't be able to park along the street at all, snowstorm or not, until April. And during that time, we got a lot of comments of people really loving how clear the streets were and uncluttered. And since that ordinance has gone away, we've gotten a lot of comments of people missing those times when the streets were cleared of maybe vehicles or trailers that have been there a little too long or broken down. And so this will create a regular occurrence where those vehicles and trailers have to be removed from the streets and cleared, and maybe they won't come back as quickly as we would not like them to do. So any questions about the ordinance? We're going to gear up and try to give notice and reminders to people and give mostly just warnings to people that are violating the ordinance.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate that, Chris. I'd like to have the chief come up and some sightings. Or maybe it wasn't Bigfoot.
The mayor was seen walking through. No, just a couple of things I'd like to update the public on. We've had a sighting of a cougar today in town around the 1400 East, 1200 South area. Ivory Homes has some homes under construction up in that area, and one of their builders saw out in the field to the south of their development a cougar running through the field. It ran through the field, and he lost sight of it as it went into the areas where the homes were, jumping over fences and things like that. So we did put out a message over our Everbridge system, contacting all the people in the neighborhood there, asking them to take their children or their dogs inside, things like that. We also contacted our elementary schools, the 2 that were in that area, asked them to keep their kids in if they desired. Of course, they did that. And that was the only sighting that we had on the cougar. In the last 10 years, we've had, I think, 2 cougars in town. This would be the 3rd. And each of the other 2 times, the cougar was seen several different times, and we've had several different calls on the cougar and where its whereabouts and where it was running to and such. And we haven't received that on this one. Not to say that it's gone, but it does appear that it's hunkered down somewhere or left the area, and we're hoping that it's gone. Division of Wildlife and Resources, they were contacted. They've been in the area looking around, trying to get their biologist to check the tracks and make sure that it was in fact a cougar. But they've since given it up until we receive another phone call on that. We had a bear sighting twice now at different locations, some up by the golf course, some down by the homes on the east River Bottoms area, I guess, and then also up on the homes up by the gun club. That bear is still yet to be caught. It's still, we think it's the same bear in each and every circumstance. It has the same description given to us from the sighters. It indicates that it's a yearling, an 18-month-old bear, just trying to find his way. Just still trying to find that. The DWR again is working with us on that one, placing a trap here and there, trying to get to catch the bear. But at this point in time, neither of those wild animals appear to be aggressive or attacking individuals, but just trying to perhaps find their way to a safer spot.
Right. Thanks, Chief. Yeah, one of those cougar sightings years and years ago was in my backyard. Yeah. Down on 2nd West. And it took off through the Broadbank field. So, yeah, they're out there. And so be careful. Be careful out there. Okay, I didn't approve the consent items.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. New business, Resolution 16-10, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement extending Utah County Joint Task.
Mayor, at the end of the last meeting, Chief Adams indicated to council that our contract for the Major Crimes Task Force was expiring and it needed to be extended. That's what this resolution does. So for many years, our city, along with many others in the county, have combined to form a joint task force to address major crimes in the county. Been very effective. In fact, our police station yesterday served as a base as they executed a warrant. So this is something that's beneficial to slow crime, to eliminate crime. We're proud to be part of it. We do recommend approval of this resolution and to continue our participation in that program.
I'll make a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement extending the Utah Task Force.
Motion by Beck, second by Councilman Gordon. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Resolution 16-10 rates.
So some months ago, let's see, the interlocal entity of which we are a member and through which we obtain our electric power commissioned a rate study by a nationally renowned consultant. We've recently received the results of those, and I think the good news for our city compared with some of our co-member participants in that agency is our rates are pretty much where they need to be. They are recommending, however, a couple of adjustments. For the city, this will be revenue neutral. Some of our users may see a little swing upward or downward depending on where they fall. We do need to increase the user rate to cover some of the system requirements that are constant and make sure that we can meet our expenses. And so for the electric charges for residential customers, the monthly charge will become $6. It has been $3. And our usage rate will be 0.08649 per kilowatt hour used. We've got some of the lowest rates in the country, actually. We're in Utah and in Spanish Fork, and this will continue that. What we have found is that many of our commercial customers have been subsidizing to a small degree some of our larger user customers. So there's been a little bit more of a change there. So our General Service 1 customer will now pay a $15 per month charge plus a rate per kilowatt hour used based on the amount of usage. Up to 1,000 kilowatt hours will be 0.12650. The next 4,000, 0.07237. And over 5,000 is 0.04820. These are still extremely low rates, and these actually represent a reduction. There we go. I won't have to shout out these any longer. So our General Service 2 will be a 30-month charge plus the rates that you see there under paragraph 3. Then the large power customers will see a slight increase, so their service charge will be $50 a month. A power demand charge of $10 per kilowatt, plus a usage charge of $1.04227 per kilowatt hour used. So as I've indicated, overall for the city, this will be revenue neutral. For our customers, again, depending on your usage a little bit, you may see a little bit of an upward or a downward swing. Most of our commercial users will see a slight decrease, and most of our large users will see a slight increase. So that's what this resolution does. Now, we still have another part to go, and that deals with the net metering that relates to solar power, wind power, and other forms of self-generated power. And we've got several recommendations that we're looking at, and as a little bit bigger group will be studying that. And so we just want to give our residents and our citizens knowledge that we're working on that is not part of this, but will be coming. But as far as this goes with our regular rates,
That's for a later conversation. There you go.
as far as this goes for our regular rates, this is revenue neutral and represents what was presented by the consultant as a fair and equitable rate for our residents. Again, keep in mind that with these rates, we're among the lowest in the state and also the lowest in Utah. As the state is one of the lower in the country.
So,
Junior, I have a question. Oh.
go ahead, Sue.
So, number 1 is residential, and number 4 is like a large electron. Can you remind us what 2 and 3 are? General Service 1 and 2.
Service 2 is an area that is a little bit higher than the Service 1. They're both commercial. And it is an area that we had to put a lot of infrastructure in order for that area to develop and get that. So that's the difference. It's generally the area north of 10th North and east of about 2nd or 3rd East is the area where that is. And that helps pay for the infrastructure that went in there for that area to be developed.
Thank you.
So, we have 11 large business customers, correct, Chris?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Okay, so
That's who it's affecting,
those 11, and so, and I'm assuming through our conversation, conversation we had with that thing, that the rate for those large about 3.5%. With looking at SAPA's bill, although those 11 people are going to have to absorb all that all at once, which is, when I do the math, and you can tell me if I'm different, that's 105,000 a year that those 11 customers are going to have to absorb, which for a couple of large chunk, because they are large users, and I know it's equitable and we need to move that, but is that a huge increase for them? And we're just...
There's one customer that has over $100,000. There's one customer that has a monthly power bill of over $100,000. so $100,000 a month. Their bill would go up, I think, a little over $5,000 a month. And so that kind of gives you a feel for what the worst case scenario is, and then it goes down from there to the 11th one is quite a bit smaller.
Right.
But it is absolutely up to you if you would like to maybe do half now and half later, or graduate it some way. That would be fine.
Okay. I figured about $4,000 when I was just doing the 3.5, looking at their average bill is $100,000 a month, which is a huge amount.
For that one.
Dave's not here.
I did not mean to interrupt you,
You're fine.
but I did. So go ahead.
And I was 11 customers absorbing that a large amount in a 1 year. Yeah, the least one's not going to go up that much, and the others are negligible. TAPA is one of our largest users, yeah, huge.
One of our a little bit relative. I mean, it's when we talk about $100,000 a month, somebody paying that in any utility to us, they're new too. So I think when we talk about stuff like this, but if we start talking about dollars and not scare necessarily, but the numbers can be funny things where we talk about somebody spending $100,000 because none of us would ever spend $100,000 a year on an electric service, but large companies that make large things do that all the time. And so it's got to be relative to put in context to residential users going up, maybe 1%, and that's a few bucks. A large commercial user that uses most of the power in South Valley goes up a lot more.
Well, and I think it's good to note that the electric bills for these customers fluctuate between $5,000 and $10,000 each month, and so this is the electric bill depends a lot on a lot of things, temperature, how many days are in the month, and so if that helps you get a perspective on what effect this might have, but this is revenue neutral, so where that rate went up 100,000, the rate for everyone else went down 100,000, but there's so many others that it's really not going to be felt that way.
And I understand that with the general business, because you have a large amount, and actually they're going down in the subsidy that they talk about. We need to make that equitable. My concern was that just these 11 customers were going to absorb a pretty large amount in a year. And yeah, they have an income, but when their rates go up, that just means for that stuff.
So the study showed that was what their real cost to the system
was.
is. And so to be equitable, you might look at it and say they were subsidized a bit for the last period of time too. So there's a number of ways to work at it. If you want to phase it, we'd support whatever action the council wanted to do.
Okay. One thing that I think is good to note, the public isn't getting to see some of the discussion that you had in a work session. So this isn't the first time you guys have talked about this. We've talked a little bit about this in the UMPA meeting in St. George in March. And then again last week or a week ago. And then of course tonight. We were a little bit nervous when we commissioned this study as a part of UMPA. We're just wondering what are the numbers going to come back? Are we out of whack? Are we close? And gratefully, the consultant, you'll remember as a council, the consultant said we were really close. One of, I think, the closest of all the UMPA cities that our rates really weren't out of whack for either the residential, the commercial general service rate, or the industrial large user rate. So what these numbers represent is us making the complete change to the consultant's recommendation in one step. So the residential rate basically stays the same, some minor tweaks. The general service rates have some adjustments, one down, one up.
One down, 1.4 down, so
Yeah.
over the total, but yeah.
Yeah, and then the industrial. If you would like, we can do this over a time frame. We can do it all at once. Gratefully, the numbers are not
that large, again, percentage-wise, and so they're big dollar amounts, and I don't think we'd want to misconstrue that it's real money to each business. But we can do it now. We can do some of it now and some of it again in 6 months. We can do it effective in a couple of months and just give them notice so that they can start preparing for it. You can adjust this however you're comfortable.
I'd be in favor of doing it now, after the meeting that we...
Let me address one thing that's kind of been, so keep in mind, the study is looking at what we need to generate to keep our system whole. Okay, and as we've noted, we're in really good shape. We need very little adjustments. Now, we don't like to raise anybody's rates, but as he indicated to us, the large users have been subsidized by the commercial users. So we're trying to be equitable and balance that out. Now, as has been noted, we can do that over time, we can adjust, but keep in mind this is revenue neutral. So if we adjust those over time, we have to adjust somebody else's back up over that same period of time, so it remains revenue neutral. We can't be taking a drop and keep our system whole. So, my recommendation would be if you want to phase it in over a little bit of time, don't pass any of it tonight. Let's make those adjustments so we can keep it revenue neutral.
I'd be in favor of the data being shared with the ones that will affect the most. I think that data was great data that people that are to study this stuff and report to cities, not just our city, but a lot of cities, including UMPA, on this stuff. I would be in favor of sharing. I know some of that might be a little, some of our businesses, I think, well served by saying, we didn't just make this on the fly and decide that, you needed to pay a little bit more money into the system. This is where it came from, because that was some really good numbers shared with us in that study.
And the other thing to know, a lot of these companies, big companies, have budgeted their time, what their power costs and what it's going to be. It'll adjust because they'll use some, but we're close to the. I don't think that's going on because they'll be probably. My feeling is that this residential has been subsidizing the commercial, and I think we need to bring them where it needs to be. It's going to be that big of a piece. The most is for them. They're a big company. I think they can. I think my feeling is we pass it the way it is and get it equaled.
Is that was shared with us, or
I think make it available. I don't see any reason why we can't. We're still working on the net metering side. We may want to hold that back, but I don't see why we wouldn't put the rest of it on our webpage and make it available.
Yeah, the individual use data we wouldn't be able to give out, so if somebody wanted to see what.
Well, sure, publicly we don't want it in their business and their.
But this study, is this what you're talking about? This study?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
study.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should put that online. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I make a motion we approve resolution number 16-11, a resolution amending electric.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gordon, second by Councilman Mission. We'll do roll call voting. Councilman Argyle, Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Councilman Mendez Gold. Aye. Let's move to Hamilton quitclaim deed.
We're looking to see if we can pull a map up on the screen that'll help explain this. Okay, a number of years ago, we obtained some property from Blair Hamilton and his wife. Mr. Hamilton lives on River Bottoms Road in unincorporated county area. As we obtained some property, which would be for some future road and trail purposes, there we have the map. We obtained what's in the red marked area. We obtained that property also, and that really, as you can see on our left, encompasses all of River Bottoms Road. And then as we move more to our right, which should be to the east, it's just off the road, but basically what will be one day part of the right-of-way. Now that is not our street. We don't maintain it. It's a narrow street. It's a windy street. And we think it behooves us at this time to deed this back to Mr. Hamilton. We've talked with him about that. He is willing to take it back. He would like to get it back because as he plans to do some development in the county, he's probably going to need that for some frontage issues that he will need with the county. So our recommendation tonight is that we approve a quitclaim deed for the property that you see hash marked in red back to Mr. and Mrs. Hamilton. And really, we look at this as avoiding a liability, so we're really asking that we receive no compensation for it. Now let me add, as we talked about that, to Tane is over here, and we need to keep that. So that is not part of what we obtained earlier. This just happened to come along with it, and as we've analyzed and looked at that, we see no need that we should have that at this time. That would be an easement.
So can we?
I don't want to buy it.
So Chris's comment was we might need a trail here, and he recommends that we deed it back with a trail reservation easement for a portion of it right here, which would be certainly appropriate. So it would be easement reservation.
Someone get that?
Reservation.
Claim deed with an easement reservation.
I'll make a motion to quit claim deed with the Hamilton, oh, now I already forgot a
Trail.
reservation.
Very good. Got a motion, say all in favor, opposed.
It's a reservation, a casino.
You're welcome.
Hey, we did the next 28, good. Approval of salaries schedule.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We have the salary schedule that we review annually. We started a process nearly 2 years ago to review these in more detailed form. Let me give you a little bit of a history. In 2006, we hired a company called the Hay Group. They came through and did some major evaluations and adjustments to our salary system. Frankly speaking, a lot of the adjustments that they made to our salary system were great. They gave us defined range sizes. They gave us better tools that we could use the ranges, how we could use the ranges to incentivize performance with the employees. And those have been received very well, both by the majority of the employees and by the supervisors as well. One of the things that we didn't like about the Hay Group that over time we began to really not like is we couldn't see how they got the ranges that they got. And sometimes the numbers that they gave us didn't make sense. So as a council, you asked us to look at tweaking the salary system, and we started that a long time ago. And it is completely my fault that it is 2 years later, and I'm before you now with that. And I probably wouldn't have this done if it wasn't for the great assistance and help from Tyler Jacobson, the new assistant city manager, who as soon as he took over the position, started working on this and has done a large amount of work and a yeoman's effort in getting it ready to present today. So Tyler, thank you. We've talked with the Personnel Committee, we've talked individually with council members and have reviewed a lot about what went into the salary study and some of the changes that have occurred. We have, before, we had ranges that started at number 3 and went to number 11, so 8 ranges, and then we had some management ranges totaling 7 ranges as well. They were called 3, 4, 5 up to 11, and then 10M through 15M, and then there was a CM or city manager range. The Hay Group divided those up because they had 2 groups of cities that they compared to. One group was 6 or 7 cities, and the other group added took those same 6 or 7 cities and added to it another 4 or 5 cities. And that made up the management group. And so it created 2 different types of range comparisons. As we got into the study, we didn't feel like there was any reason to keep 2 sets of ranges. And so we have proposed in this salary schedule a new numbering system. And you have, I gave you earlier a copy of the salary ranges, and the public can see on the board, or on the wall here, that a grade 3 stayed a grade 3, grade 4 stayed a grade 4. We did create 2 new grades because of some large gaps and some of the problems those gaps were creating for some of the positions that we had. Grade 10M now becomes just a simple 13, no lettering with it, and so on. You can see how those adjustments occur. I want to report that about half of the ranges will see some kind of an adjustment upward. Some of them have significant jumps. The largest moving jump is previous grade 9, now grade 11. The data for that range was overwhelmingly behind. And so the range needs to jump 8% in order for it to be within the market, which we have identified that we'd like to be. We call it the 60th percentile. Other ranges move, 3 ranges move about 5%, or a little bit more than 5%. A couple of ranges move about 2.5%. Some move just a little bit at 1.7 and 0.5, and then about half of the ranges don't move at all. And again, that's just simply based on the research and the data that those ranges, the positions within those ranges, were being paid where they needed to be. And last year the ranges adjusted, and this year there just isn't movement in those particular ranges, and so those ranges are not being proposed to change. We have budgeted funds within the current fiscal year budget that is sufficient to handle these adjustments as given, as well as include some merit for the employees. I think it's important to always note that just because a range moves 8% or 5% or 0% doesn't mean that employees will receive that exact amount. It also doesn't mean that an employee at 0 will get a 0% raise. This just simply means the range. But an employee's performance within the range might mean that they merit, and we use the phrase merit, an adjustment of 1, 2, 3, 4%. Specifically, those employees who have been with us for a few years. If you've been here 1 or 2 or 5 years, employees should see a decent increase because their learning, their growth, and the value that they are contributing to the city grows every year a little bit faster than somebody that's been here for a long time. I've been with the city for 12 years, and I'm not as productive today. No, wait, that's not what I meant to say. Now, I've been here 12 years. I'm not learning as much today as maybe I did when I first started. Now, for me personally, I'm still learning quite a bit because I had a little bit of a change happen, but you get the picture. The more recent you've been here, typically the employees move a lot quicker. As they get more tenured, their raises tend to lessen just a little bit. I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to bend your ear too much. I want to be able to answer any questions that you have. I want to point out that on this salary schedule, there are 9 positions that I would like to somewhat hold back, if you will, for a little bit more study. And I'll name those so that you can have them here in this meeting. The positions are substation technician, recreation program supervisor, accountant, fairgrounds manager, librarian, children's librarian, library systems coordinator, service substation foreman, and facilities maintenance technician. These positions saw a tremendous amount of movement, either up or down. And as we got into the data, we just, by tonight, couldn't get a comfort level that we should either move them dramatically up or dramatically down. And by dramatically, I mean some of them would move down $9,000 in their range, or some positions might move $5,000. If the data says this position should be lower, then we need to do that. But I don't want to do it without really getting into the data, frankly calling cities, getting job descriptions, and making sure that we're comparing the right positions to the right positions across those cities. And so I'd like to hold those positions back, and maybe by next council meeting or in 2 council meetings we can have that information and make that adjustment for those positions. For the employees that might be watching or will watch later, these are proposed to be effective for October 1st, which is actually the current pay period that we are in. And so raises would go into effect right now. The employees don't get paid for the work we're doing right now until that latter part of this month. So everything will be current. For the employees that I just mentioned, the positions rather that I just mentioned, if we don't adjust them today, but we do adjust them later, any adjustments for those employees, we would do retroactive. So they wouldn't miss the October 1st deadline. They might not get it in the next paycheck, but maybe in the subsequent paycheck they would get a little bit, they would get what they missed the first paycheck. We call that retroactive, and the employees know all too well what that means. Any specific questions that you have, any concerns that you have? I will note also in this spreadsheet that there's the technician and the customer service technician positions was mismarked, and instead of being a grade 9 should be a grade 8. I mentioned that to you earlier as well. Any questions or any comments that you have?
Thank you for all the work, so thank you.
Tyler. It became Monday, yesterday, feels like last week. He said, I just want to get this done. And the look on his face was pure exasperation. And I said, I think we need to cancel the appointments that we have with department heads, because we were planning on meeting with department heads and going in depth on this stuff. I said, I just don't think we're ready. And you should have seen the color in his face just drain. And I said, I'm so sorry. I feel like you're trying so hard to guess what's inside of my head. And again, Tyler's done a great job. And we're now at a point where we can move things forward very quickly and get things.
What's really nice, Tyler, is to see the look of your face today. That was Seth's look about 8 years ago when he was going through the same. Remember it well. Yep, so you guys did a great job, and we appreciate that. You know, we value our employees very much, and you know, we want to have the best. We want to be responsible and money, because taxpayers are. So this is why we spend so much time. We want to keep the best of the best here, and so, but we're very of what you, the citizens, have been to make this right. So thanks, guys, for taking care of that. For questions, I would entertain a motion.
I'd really quick, Mayor, just encourage the citizens out there that in the day and age we live in of government transparency, stuff. People late at night like to Google search or web to try to find what ranges are and what people are making if they live in their city or something. And it's like, here's some information, you know, and it's not just fly by night and nobody's winging it. It's studied in months and a lot of time and effort, and we're thankful to you, I know, as a council and the mayor, like the mayor said and Stacy said, but the citizens should be grateful too that you guys take this as seriously as you do and try to be right where it is, and good people, all the hiring, wasteful in any way. It's all there for everybody to see, which
there
is
really
good.
is a good balance. Again, with this Hague group from 2006 on, the council and you have continued the thought of, we don't want to be average, we want to be slightly above average, because we value the investment, and there truly is an investment in the employees. We pay them a good wage, and they learn while they're here. And if we lose them in a lateral move to another city or another job, it hurts. We have a few positions. We feel it every once in a while, and sometimes we're ahead of it, and sometimes we're reacting. Right now, there's 1 or 2 positions where we're reacting, frankly, and ouch, dang it, we missed it, and wish we could do a better job, and we always try. But it's a good balance, and I think your thoughts, Mayor, like you said, that we want to be careful that we're not spending too much. At the same time, we want to make sure that we value the employees for the work that they do, because these employees are amazing. This morning I was up on 4th North. There were guys cutting up asphalt, digging in cold water because the water line broke, and you better believe they were up at 4:30 this morning getting that started. And the employees do that kind of thing day in and day out. Yep. They really are worth every penny that we give them, and they do a great job for us.
Great. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve salary schedule of the Spanish Fork employees.
Motion by Councilman Argyle, a second by Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
I move we go into closed session.
The motion by Councilman Mender, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.